Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Cha Yang, and I'm here with my partner Wang Lo. This video is the start of our training and teaching video series about things within the automotive industry. Uh, Today, we're going to be going a little bit over why you should lease a car versus buying a car, and more specifically, the top four reasons why you should lease your vehicles.
Number one reason is you are paying for only the depreciating part of the vehicle. When you lease a vehicle, you only pay for that piece. So, for example, if you leased a vehicle that had an MSRP of $20,000 and it retains at least 60% of its value 3 years, 36,000 miles later, you're only paying for the difference, which is $8,000. So, you are only responsible for the $8,000 plus taxes and fees. If you purchase the vehicle, you're responsible for the total amount, $20,000 plus taxes and fees for that total amount. So again, you are only using or responsible for that part that you are using on that vehicle. Number two reason why you should lease a vehicle, or the second reason, is you have safer, newer technology. I don't know how you feel about cars, but I like the upgraded safety and the newer technology that is out there. It's a little bit more convenient for everyone, especially I like music and things like that. But because you are leasing a vehicle every 3 years, you have the option of upgrading all the time and changing out that vehicle. So safer and newer technology is a big advantage of why you should lease your vehicle. Now, when you obviously buy the vehicle, you're in that loan for 5 to 6 years, so you're kind of stuck with that at that time. And if you decide to trade out of that vehicle, you're probably underwater at that point still. The third reason why you should lease a vehicle is you have a lower debt to income ratio. For guys and gals who like to invest in homes and stock markets and things like that, put a little bit more money back in your pocket. When you go and buy something like a home in this scenario, the bank runs your credit and they look at how much debt you have. If you lease that vehicle, it goes back to that number one. You're only responsible for that $8,000 of depreciation. So that shows up on your credit report. If you buy the whole vehicle, you're responsible for that $20,000 plus taxes and fees, and that shows up on your credit report. So debt to income is the number three reason why you should lease. The fourth and final one is flexibility, and that's my favorite one. I change my cars like my shirts sometimes, and it gives me the option to change out cars. And my lifestyle changes, having children, doing more explorations, going around the state, things like that. And so I'm able to be a little bit more flexible in changing out my vehicle at that point if I lease versus if I bought the vehicle. If you bought it again, you're stuck with that vehicle, and again you can trade out of it, but you're going to be underwater at that time. Even if it's a year down the line and you're driving the car, and you're like, man, that spot is just hitting my back real hard. I can't stand it anymore. I have to trade in the car. Your that flexibility allows you to do it if you leased it.
Okay. Now, I've leased one car in the past, and that was a long time ago, but haven't really leased another car again. And some of the reasons why is some of the concerns, like what happens if I drive too many miles, in the lease vehicle?
Sure. The first thing I would ask anybody who says they drive too many miles is how many miles do you really actually drive? And what we find out is 12, 15, 20,000 miles. That's normal driving. If you go over 25, I wouldn't recommend leasing for you. But anything less than 25,000 miles, you should lease the vehicle. If you do go over the mileage at that point, you're only paying 20 cents a mile.
So what about because I like to modify my cars too, and used to do that for when I was young and stuff. Can I modify the lease vehicle, if I modify it, what happens when I actually have to return it?
Sure, you can modify the car just like you own it. It's the same type of ownership. If you put rims on it and the rims are way nicer than the stock rims, obviously you can take those rims off and sell them on eBay and put the stock rims back on. If you want to keep the nicer rims on the car, you're definitely more than welcome to. But you have those choices. Um,
I see. So pretty much, I can modify to my heart's content as long as, typically if I return it, you'd want to return it back in the stock form. But, the dealership's probably open to getting some free rims or something.
Absolutely. And I'll throw out a truck example for you. If you leased a truck and you didn't buy with the tow package, you put one on after the fact to pull your boat or trailer, dealership would probably want that tow package on there. You don't have to spend the money to take that off. So really up to you at that point. If it improves the car, they don't care. If it is worse for the car, they want you to put the stock back stuff.
Now, we both have kids, and we both know, how messy it can kind of get in the cars. They spill stuff, they step on stuff rips. What happens with some of those damages when I return the leased vehicle back to the dealership?
You'll get charged for it, like you own it. Both ways you lose, and
No
unfortunately, unfortunately you can't go around it. You do have protection plans that can help you out over at the dealerships, and they're pretty inexpensive. But if our kids spilled Kool-Aid, you got to clean up and you got to fix it. In a scenario, if you purchased the vehicle, they would dock that stuff from your trade-in value. So it still comes off bottom line from you.
Okay. Now the biggest part that's really, keeping me from actually going to lease is, basically the actual financing part of it. Like whenever when I look at leasing, basically it's a forever payment and you don't own the vehicle versus purchasing a car, you will potentially get up to a point where you own the vehicle. So that that's probably one of the biggest deterrents for me of actually going into leasing.
Own the vehicle? Sure. It's very true. But, you miss a payment and you figure out who owns the vehicle real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the bank gave a loan on it.
Yeah.
And who wants to own a depreciating value type of asset? I mean, really, you should look at cars as not as an asset, but as a tool. Because it depreciates. Sooner or later, it's going to get to zero, and that's what it's going to turn into. So you want to own homes and things that appreciates in value, not things that always depreciates like a vehicle. And let's talk about the type of ownership that comes into play. And yeah, you'll have forever payments, but let me show you a different way to look at payments and numbers. I'll put that on paper for you guys.
Okay.
Okay, so here's my scenario. I'm comparing a lease versus buy on a 2019 Acura MDX numbers wise. On the lease left hand side, $439 plus tax. I live in the state of Florida. That's 7%. That equals $469 per month. Times that by 36 payments, you're at $16,884. On the right hand side, you have the buy option. $44,300. You negotiate that down. They took off a couple $1,000. Add the taxes and fees, you're back up there around $44,000. Okay. Let's take out a loan for about 6 years or 72 payments, around 5%. You're looking at $710. Just multiply that back by the amount of payments. You're paying $51,120. Lease versus buy, right? You can buy 3.03 leases or cars. That's the way you should look at it. 9 years. Let's compare 9 years of ownership or 3 leases. We're talking 3 cars, 3 leases. There's 3 years that you don't make payments from the vehicles just because you paid it off. Totally get it. But when you lease those 3 cars, you're all in that warranty period. You don't pay for the wear and tear of the tires and so forth. You pay for the maintenance like you would if you own it, oil changes and whatnot. But if you purchase the vehicle, what you have to look at is maintenance. You have to add on the cost of the brakes, which is around $1,200 every time you do it. God knows how many sets of tires you have to buy. They're usually around $1,000. In this case, let's be conservative and add in $1,000. And when the 100,000 mile mark comes around, you have to pay up for that maintenance, the $100K. which is around $1,300. So all those expenses is considered when you buy the vehicle. That's your ownership experience. When you go back and take a look at the numbers, you're always going to be losing money when it comes down to vehicles. And what you have to take a look at is, okay, how much money is really going to come out from me while owning these vehicles? And I'll tell you, with 9 years, if I had a 9-year-old MDX with over 100,000 miles, I'm not really keen on all the safety stuff, and that time, around that time, I'm probably looking for another car. So if you look at the numbers wise, that's how you should look at how to view a vehicle. Again, is a tool.
All right, so that was it. Thanks for viewing our video, the top 4 reasons why you should lease your vehicles. We're going to be coming out with more of these type of videos, so make sure you like our page and also follow us.
And if you have comments or questions or anything like that, comment below. We'll respond to you guys.
Yep. All right, so see ya.